Hello and welcome everybody. Bruce Jones here with some more self-publishing questions. I'm going to talk about trying to get your book going. So I'm sort of re-engaging with everybody and getting the self-publishing series going. We're going to have a book exercise thing that's going to come later in the whole series. But what I'm going to do is basically run through some of the main questions that people have. Getting going with their book and self-publishing their book and the book published, getting it out there, marketing, that kind of thing. There's some sort of key questions. So today we're going to have 3 of those questions. And we're going to be covering writing your book start to finish. We're going to just kind of make these short and sweet, get some tips on them, things that I have learned. What type of book should I write in paperback versus hardcover versus ebook versus PDF? 4 different kinds of books, and what one should I concentrate on and what should I do? So that'll be what today's little broadcast is about. There is a companion book that goes with this, and if you notice, let me come back to here. There's a link that's above or below or somewhere, but I also put a link in the slate that goes at the front of this video. You'll see there's a QR code, and if you take your phone and point it at that QR code, you will find that will take you to this, let's get the right place, to this site. And you can download the companion book that goes along with this. And this is like a little experiment. I've done this before. This book is not completed. This is sort of version 3 of my book. Sometimes my books keep evolving to new and new things. And this is the 3rd version of this book. So parts of it will be unedited. But once you sign up, and I will then continually update this and give new books and new versions of the book, but I'm also going to be adding some bonus content down here at the bottom that will start to appear in here. Some checklists and maybe some access to some videos and some other stuff. So that's available too. So I encourage you to go get that. All right, so let's just sort of dive in here with the first question. Let me put this up here. And if you have questions, you can put them in and I'll get to them at the end of the broadcast. Writing your book start to finish. So this is a question a lot of you have trouble with. Books can take years to write. Sometimes you can write them quickly. Sometimes it takes years. It's hard to find the time to keep going at it and keep doing it. I myself didn't actually start writing my books until I was 53. It took me a long time to learn how to write. I'm dyslexic, and trying to figure out how to do it, put it all together, took a long, long time. And once I kind of got it, then I was able to kind of keep on going. But one of the things I learned was doing things in small chunks. So every day I did a little piece of it, or you find a special time, like at the beginning of the day or the end of the day, somewhere where you can grab 15 minutes. Doesn't seem like a lot, but amazing how much you can do to get your book going and get it complete. But I did do a book way back. I'm going to show this again in a minute. This is my very, very first book. I did this about 40 years ago with this guy right here, Frank Fissler, and it was my first. I did the illustrations for this children's book, and we did it the old-fashioned way with pen and ink on drawing tables and with a typesetter, and we pasted up the type and hired a printer, and so it was my very, very, very first book. So it was fun to do and a great learning experience. And then it took me, that was like in my 20s, it took me into my 50s to figure out how to do things. So some of the tips that I have on getting your book done. So I said a couple of them. Pick a time during the day that's sort of a quiet time. Maybe it's early in the morning or the evening or somewhere. And just even 15 minutes a day that you dedicate to writing your book, you'll be amazed how much it will get going. I don't recommend, this is my own personal style of sort of starting at the page 1 and trying to write all the way through. That can be, it'll burn me out and burns a lot of people out. There's a technique I talk about in the book that's attached called my easy book method. It's sort of setting up a series of questions, answering them really quickly, and fleshing each one of those things out, and sort of building the book that way in bits and chunks that you then put back together. There's no rule that says you have to start at the end or the beginning. I have found another way that people have written books is to dictate the book. We all have our phones. These all have voice recorders on them, and most of them have dictation. So you can say something and it dictates it right into the phone. You can email it to yourself. So you can do these while you walk. In fact, the woman that did this book right here, let's see, make that so it's not so shiny. It's a sort of a tips book for women. It has covered one for every week, 52 tips. And she was up around tip 30 and got kind of stuck. And what she ended up doing was dictating the book while she walked her daughter every day. And she started with a stroller and just dictated and was able to finish it off. So walking with a stroller, doing it with a car, somewhere like that is a way that you can kind of get things going. Some people use a timer method, set a timer and you write as fast as you can for 10 minutes and then go back and edit it. But the key is to get it to the end. And one of the biggest lessons I learned in my sort of learning in my 50s of how to write was that I don't have to be perfect on writing my book. That's why we have editors. And so I was a graphic designer and I worked with editors a lot, and I learned the power of an editor. And there are different kinds. There's like proofing editors, and there's development editors, and there's copy editors. They all have different roles, but that person can complete your book and can take your ideas and rough ideas and the messy things and put them together for you. So it can be a very powerful tool to use and a very valuable tool. Our job is to create stuff, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And that was a big lesson for me to learn. I often tell people that publishing a book is often the fulfillment of a dream that you didn't even know you have. So it's an amazing process to go through. And I also have found working with a lot of authors and people in the How to Publish group is that pushing that publish button is extremely difficult. It's one of the hardest things people do. They're afraid to sort of let it go. But once you learn by hitting that publish button, the transformation happens and knowledge happens on the other side of that. And the aha moments going, oh, that's what I should have written. And now I can go back and fix it. So I have seen people use blogs as a great way to sort of put their content out there, not with the purpose of spreading it to the world, but with the purpose of really working with their own heads and getting it out, making that commitment, and then moving forward to the next step and fixing it, and then move forward and fix it. So I encourage anybody who's sort of starting a book to sort of get out there, stop putting your ideas down. You don't have to be in the right order. You can be messy all over the place. You can bring them together. Editors are powerful tools. Finding small times of the day to write is a powerful way of doing it. I used to go off sometimes and take thinking days. I called them thinking days, where I would go off into a library. Every library has study rooms in them. It's kind of an unknown thing that libraries have, but they have a room in the library that you can go and do some stuff. So that's kind of cool. I got addicted to pressing them. Yeah, this is a good one, Julie. Yes, I got addicted to pressing the publishing button by now. Yeah, no, pushing that button it's so hard. People have such a hard time pushing that button that they think the world's sort of going to end. But if you can push it, and you discover what happens on the other side. It's just really, really powerful. So great comment. Thank you, Julia. All right, let's go over to my next question for today. Let's get the right place here. What type of book should I write? So this seems kind of a weird question maybe to ask, but people get stuck, and so they get stuck on what kind of book. Are they writing a history book, a biography book, a cookbook? All different kinds of books that you can create in your topic, in your subject area. So one of the things I recommend to do is to look at the genre that you're writing in: history, cooking, exercise, and stuff like that. Go to a large bookstore, a Barnes and Noble, a Books a Million, something like that, and go to that section and see the kinds of books that are there. And you'll notice that there's sort of themes in the way the books are laid out. Cookbooks have pictures in them. So that's an important thing to remember. Biographies have maybe pictures in the middle. They have them scattered out. Fiction books generally don't have pictures, but sort of learn what kind of book you're going to write and what other people do in that area can help guide you on the kind of book that you're going to do. What do you like to do? Do you like if you're doing a how-to book, is it a book with pictures and instructions? Is it just all text? Is it text with training? What is it? Can dictate a lot of how the kind of book that you put together. So I just pulled some books out here just to kind of do it. So this is a cookbook, right? So a lot of cookbooks. This is a nice size for a cookbook. This person put a spiral binding on it, and you'll see there's a picture and text. So that's the basic structure. So as you are sort of putting this book together, you're going to know you're going to need these elements, all right? And what I try to have people do, though it's hard because we sort of put our books together and then come at these things from the back end, is we're not all that aware of the elements and pieces that are going to go into your book. So if you're doing, especially like a cookbook or a how-to book, has pictures in it, becomes super important to start collecting that stuff. If you're doing a children's book, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make with children's book, I'm just going to pull out my old children's book, is depending where you're publishing it, and I'll be doing a lot more broadcasts on this. I'll be talking about this and where we publish our books, but different places that you're going to publish, I'll just say like Amazon and KDP, can't do horizontal books like this. The standard children's book is generally horizontal. They can't do them. They have a small version, but they don't have sort of the bigger version. So that means one of the main publishers and distribution channels for your book can't make the pictures horizontal. They can make them vertical, and I have done like this children's book where I made them vertical. So it's just something you're going to have to think about in terms of how you do things, and to think about the art. I'm going to say one of the biggest mistakes I see is a lot of children's book authors contact an illustrator and they make illustrations that are horizontal, and then they can't fit them into the shape because Amazon doesn't have a horizontal shape. So it's sort of doing a little research as you're sort of moving forward with your book and seeing, do I have the right elements? Am I making it the right way? Am I doing things correctly? So making, that's probably one of the biggest, but all the other books have pieces in them. You can go and look at other books and see what they're kind of do. So, and you can also, what else you can do in this topic? Is how you prepare your book. So do I just need Microsoft Word or Google Docs to write my book? Or do I need something like InDesign or Photoshop to make, if it's going to be pictures, I might need those tools. If it's just rewriting, it might just be Word or Google Docs. So you're sort of looking at the tools, you're looking at the structure of your book, looking at how you're going to put it together, where are you going to be selling it. I'm going to talk about all of these in future broadcasts. They can be in bookstores or just online. Dictates a lot of the kind of book that you're going to make. So a big question that people have, and this is one that I have a lot of discussions on, is paperback versus hardcover versus ebook versus even PDF. So hardcover. So here's a book that is hardcover. Okay, this is one recently I worked on. Hardcover with a wrap. So it has a wrap around the outside. So it's hardcover. And up until just recently, Amazon didn't have a hardcover option. Still don't have a hardcover with a wrap, but they didn't have a hardcover option at all. I'm working on Blurb. But now they have a hardcover option. So that's kind of cool. Paperback book it has a soft cover. This is called a soft cover. This is paperback, right? So the same book. We have two different versions of it. This is the hardcover, and it has the cover wrap. And books can have cover wraps or no cover wraps. All right. So this is also a hardcover, but the picture is put right into the book. You can have paperback, like so. All right. And you can also have ebooks, which would go onto a Kindle or your iPad or your phone or any kind of electronic device. So I recommend that you have all of these books. People kind of worry that they won't have one or the other. My recommendation is to create all of them, because once you have the basic file done, you're pretty close to the other file. In fact, these hardcover and paperback books use exactly the same file for the inside of the book. The cover files are a little different, but the insides are the same. For the ebook, very similar. You have all the text, you have all the pictures. And now ebooks on Amazon use 300 dot per inch pictures, which is the same that you have in your hardcover and paperback. So that has sort of helped. You used to have different resolutions. Let me just find here. So you have pictures in here. these pictures have to be a certain resolution. Now it's the same across all platforms. Every platform wants the same one. So hardcover, paperback. If you want something like a spiral bound book, Amazon doesn't do this. So you need to find a different way of creating this book. A lot of people want a spiral bound book for a journal, or this is an exercise journal. It's kind of a cool book. Spring into Life, a fitness diary. But Amazon doesn't do these. So where could I get these done? I could get them done at Lulu. There are other journal places that can do it. The question is, can I get them distributed on Amazon at a reasonable price? But if this is something that you want, which is often cookbooks or diaries or journals, want that, then you have to sort of check and see where that is. A new version that has come in here recently, as I said in my list here, right here, is PDF. So I sell a lot of my books. So this is one of my books. I sell this book as a physical book, but I also sell it as a PDF file. And I use a site called Gumroad. And Gumroad is actually where, if you look at this is my Gumroad site. So this is where I can sell individual books. The book that I'm selling, the companion book to this, is a PDF book. The advantage of a PDF book is that you can charge whatever you want for that PDF. If you want to charge, I think I'm charging $5, but if you wanted to charge $45 and add maybe some support videos, that kind of a thing to it, or an audio file or something like that, there's no reason you can't do that. So often PDF books can be way more profitable than the physical books. So like my books, like let's see, this coloring book that I have here, I make, I think, about $2.80 or $3 per book from Amazon. It's a pretty decent royalty compared to a traditional publisher, which might only be 70 cents or $1. I can make a lot more profit out of my book, but if I want to make more money, I can sell them as PDFs. And if you see this book, I have 6 of these books, 6 different coloring books. And I sell them individually on Gumroad, but I also sell them as a bundle. So I sell them as $5 a piece, or I sell all 6 for $10. So about 40% of the people that buy this book actually buy the bundle. So I'm making $10 a book, $10 for the package instead of the $2.50 I might on Amazon. So something to think about, that you have all these versions now. Added to the PDF version, you can do audio books, and they can be audio that you sell on Amazon. You can also sell it on your own sites, and even video. You can sit here and read the book as a video book, which is kind of strange, and then offer a companion PDF that people might download. So all of these options are here, but generally once you make one of them, you've actually made almost all of them. Maybe not the audio, because you have to have it, you have to read it or narrate it. But for all the other books, you have put them together and made them yourself. So, all right. So that covers today. We covered a little bit about writing a book start to finish. Just get going, kind of do it, hit that publish button. What type of book should I write? Go look at a lot of the books that are in your genre, get an idea of what they are. And that'll tell you the size. It'll tell you the kind of photos you need, kind of the structures of the book. Gives you a good sense of the book. It's nice having something you can feel and go, this is how I think my book is going to be. And that gives you something to motivate you and get that going. And then paperback, hardcover, ebook, PDF, audiobook, video book, do them all. That's all there. So, and be sure to go over and pick up the companion. The link is above or below, or you can get it from right. Oops, let's take that off of here, and you can get it right off of the screen right there. So we have a couple questions. Let's see. All right. Oops, let me go back to here. Too many buttons to push. All right. So if I write a text-only book, I need only Word and not design. Yes, that's no graphic design. Yes. So here, let me get my full self here. Great question. Excellent question. So yes, a lot of people will use Microsoft Word. Set your Microsoft Word up at the page size. Let's say 6x9. All right. So you set your document up as 6x9, and then people can just set your book up, format your book, and you can make a PDF of that, and you can upload that to KDP, and it works fine. Many people make their books that way. You don't need InDesign at all to do it. You just got to kind of make sure all the parts are in the right places and all that kind of stuff. You can also use that Word file, put it into Kindle create, and you can make the ebook version of it. So again, you don't need InDesign to do it. You don't need any graphic designer. Where you may need a graphic designer is making a cover. So if you're doing an ebook, you can get great templates for covers at Canva, canva.com. But you can also just sort of hire a graphic designer to make your cover if you want. And the other question, let's just see what the other question was. It says, I love some interior from KDP and Etsy as printables. Yes, yeah. You can do that too. You can take your book and break it apart and put it as printables. So printables are, if you're not familiar with them, Etsy sells printables, which are basically PDF files that you can download. So you can download single pages, or break them into multiple pages, or you can download the whole book. But printables is a really big thing over on Etsy. So lots of different options there. So, all right, that does that. And we will see you in the next broadcast, and we'll cover more questions on self-publishing. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.